Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we are going to be talking about the, of course, famous MS-1. Now this tank finally came back in this event, the Old Guard event, where you could easily get the MS-1 for free. It was on stage 3 of this event. And here it is, the MS-1, and we're just going to be doing a review of it here. I normally don't review tier 2 tanks, but come on, it's the MS-1. You got to do a review of it. And this thing is actually really fun to play. Definitely have learned that. So, just going to look over the stats here real quick, and then we will jump into 2 replays of it. So it has 435 HP here. We have damage per minute of around 700, about a 4.7 second reload, 51 millimeters a pin, average damage of 55, 2-second aiming time, and 0.400 dispersion. You as well have 8 degrees of gun depression and 25 degrees of gun elevation, and a top speed of 37 kilometers an hour, and an average speed of 30. So, I mean, there's not too many stats to go over here. Obviously, it's just a tier 2 tank. No premium ammos, no consumables, no provisions, anything like that. It's just, you know, a tier 2 tank. But it's very fun to play, and a lot of people were glad that Wargaming brought this tank back because it is, of course, the MS-1, which is a very famous tank. It was basically like the OG OP tank, I think, back in the day before update 5.5 when it was removed from the game. And it has been moved up to tier 2. It was originally a tier 1 vehicle, but it's now moved up to tier 2. And yeah, so this vehicle is a fun tank to play just because, you know, not only is it's the MS-1, so it's kind of famous, so it's just fun to play it like that, but as well, I actually really enjoy playing this tank for the gun. I actually think most tanks in the lower tiers are really OP. I mean, not only because you're just fighting bots most of the time, but it's just funny to go to the low tiers and just pump tanks, just go boom, 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 boom. It's just a lot of fun to bully those low tier tanks, and the MS-1 is quite good at that. 55 alpha gun with a 4.7-second reload. I don't really know too much about lower tier tanks, so I can't compare that to many other things, and that was an accidental shot right there. Did not mean to do that. But from what I have played so far, it does rip apart the enemy tanks quite well. And one thing unfortunate about playing a tier 2 tank, though, is it's only going to face tier 3s, really, because Wargaming doesn't really have tier 1 tanks face tier 2 tanks, so that the people literally just started the game are only facing other tier 1 tanks and not tier 2s. So you're really going to always be bottom tier most of the time. But fortunately, there's only 1 or 2 here, tier 3s in most of these games, so it's really not a problem. Right now, at least, everything else is just an MS-1 as well. We'll have to see how good this tank performs against other tanks whenever, you know, the MS-1 hype and stuff of everyone just playing the tank kind of, you know, settles down a little, and you can play against mostly normal tanks instead of all the MS-1. This happens every time a new low-tier tank like this comes out. Everyone gets it instantly and goes and plays it. So, other than that, as you can see here, I mean, we're just farming up the damage. I mean, there's not too much to talk about here, because it is a pretty simple tank. I mean, the MS-1, there's not much to it. But as you can see, nice accuracy. Most of the lower tier tanks all have really good accuracy, really good gun depression. It's quite funny. They all have pretty decent stats for their tier, but they're all kind of pretty much the same, it seems like, except for armor. So this MS-1, no clue what this guy was doing. We're going to finish him off. We're up to 700 damage now. And this is my first game in the MS-1. I never played a game in the MS-1 before this, and we do quite well for it. We farm up quite a bit of damage, as you can see. It's just we're constantly firing. That's how these low-tier battles are. You're just constantly firing, you know, non-stop. Just shoot, shoot, shoot. We are going to miss this shot on the Stuart right there, unfortunately, and there are only 3 enemies remaining now, so we're going to push in on these guys. This MS-1 here is a 2-shot, and we are going to, unfortunately, not get that kill, but I do get shot from that corner over there, so I'm like, oh, well, someone's over there. So there we have a full HP light VZ38. Not actually sure how I guess it's light VZ38, I guess. But yeah, he's full HP, so we have a nice amount of HP to just go over here and farm. And I really don't care that I'm half HP, because this guy's been camping the whole game. This is tier 2. I am not going to have any issue taking this guy out. I mean, we've already got him almost half HP, and he hasn't even shot us yet. Nice roll right there, max roll. And we're now above 1,000 damage. And this guy is now down to a 3-shot here, and we're still at 200 HP now, 160. So, yeah, MS-1, it's a great tank. I enjoy playing this tank for a lower tier, for a tier 2 tank. The only really tanks below tier 5 I play are probably the Lux and the Combinator. This might become the third that I only ever play just when I want to go meme around for a minute. I usually don't do that too often, though. I only have like 20 battles in those tanks. But if you do want to go meme around in the lower tiers, I feel like this is going to be a great tank for that. And we are going to watch one more replay of the MS-1 here. This was my third battle in the tank. And we're just going to skip ahead here. And actually, I do appreciate that Wargaming lets the low tier tanks play on different maps now. That was always something that I found a little weird. Like, why just play on 2 maps? Like, is there a reason? You know? So I'm glad Wargaming made it where you can actually play on these maps too. It makes it a lot more fun, in my opinion, when you can play on these other maps and not just those 2 maps. So we are on Middleburg here, and this is an interesting battle because the entire enemy team basically goes to that side and just pushes straight through. You almost never see that. But of course, this is tier 2 and tier 3 gameplay, so, you know, expect the unexpected. And as you can see, again, there are a lot of MS-1s out. Some battles I've heard were completely all MS-1s. The only tanks in the battle were MS-1s, which is quite funny. I've had battles similar to that. It was when the Yo came out. The Yo, it was all Yos, except for 2 tanks. It was all Yos, which was quite funny to play on, because it was just Yo on Yo. We are unfortunately going to bounce that shell there, but as you can see, this guy, I mean, this is tier 2 gameplay for you. It's just a farm. Like, they have no clue. I mean, even if they're, you know, might not be, you know, actual tier 2 players in the MS-1, there's still, most of them are not good at all, and it is just an easy farm for you right here. I mean, look how small this tank is, too. Like, it's so small. The MS-1 is a tiny, tiny little tank, and it's quite funny because it's just this huge empty spot on your UI that is normally filled up by a tank, but instead it's just this tiny little MS-1. So we are going to finish that guy off here. Now there is a tier 3 over here, and as you can see, we still have no trouble pinning this guy. I mean, he doesn't have much armor, but we still have no trouble pinning him. And so I think this does hold its own against tier 3s as well, even for being a tier 2. Like I said, it seems to me to be quite a good tier 2. But out of most tier 2s, most of them are good. I don't really think there's many bad lower tier tanks. I don't think Wargaming wanted to do that so everyone could just grind up to the tier 5 tanks, you know, with ease, whatever route they choose, which is, after 5.5, really just one route. But that way they didn't make any of the tanks bad in the lower tiers, so they all generally are pretty good. But the MS-1, I think, is looking a little better than even most of those. So there's one tank left now as well. He is an MS-1, and he is going to be AFK, lucky for us. This guy is just sitting in spawn, and we are going to get to spot him, so we're going to get the first shot out. And as well, we are going to get one more shot out on this guy before he gets rammed by our MS-1. And unfortunately, we are going to bounce that shot. Or not bounce it. We're going to miss it. And we're not going to be able to get that kill. But yeah, that's the MS-1 for you, everyone. Legendary tank, of course, that has come back to the game. Lots of old OG players are excited about this. And I think it's a decent tank as well, actually, for a tier 2. But I'm probably more excited for the Poodle, just because it's a tier 6 tank. And I'm a little more interested in a tier 6 tank than a tier 2 tank. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.